Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Shurina, and I'm your host. I'm your Brains Coach, and just someone with a lot of passion for helping you guys to learn how to use your brain better. And I'm learning with you every day. I'm so pumped. Every day there is an article. I actually have a Google alert set up, so you can, for free, set up an alert in Google. And every time an new article on the topic that you are interested in, for example, brain nutrition, pops up, somebody creates it, somebody writes an article, Google, with the frequency that you specify, like for me it's once a day, will send you all the updates from all over the world, all the internet, like what's new in your topic, right? And every day there is something interesting, something that we haven't talked much about, and probably most people will never know about, except me and you guys. Something else pops up, and it creates a better framework of how to think about certain aspects of, let's say, brain nutrition. Like yesterday, I was really interested in this article about 7 nutrients for brain health and performance. And I was like, okay, what are those? I'm curious. And when I talk about brain nutrition, first and foremost, I always talk about essential nutrients. They're essential not just for the brain, but the brain is, I think, the most nutrient demanding organ in the body, at least from all the data, what it seems. When we compare all the organs, the brain is 20%, the brain is 5% by weight of our whole body, and it eats more than 20% of our energy, and it seems like all of the nutrients. So brain is quite hungry. And so 7 nutrients. I always, when I talk about brain nutrition, I talk about, okay, these are essential nutrients for whole body health. If you don't get them, your brain also will not work right. And so, in that article, they talked about B vitamins, they talk about essential minerals, they talk about omega-3 fatty acids, they talk about amino acids or proteins in simpler language, they talk about vitamin D specifically, they talk about also different antioxidants coming from fruit and vegetables, not from pills or some supplements, but from variety of fruit and vegetables in our diet. And they also talk about different foods with probiotics, because the connection between our gut and our brain's well-being is undeniable. So, for example, that pops up and I'm like, oh, finally, people starting to speak my language. And it's kind of like straightforward when you know how nutrition works, how the body works. But, in this world of dieting, people like, oh, why am I not happy? Well, maybe because you're on the stupid diet that takes all the essential nutrients out of your plate, and that's why your brain doesn't work that well and not happy about the whole situation. There is nothing worse for the brain than starving it of essential nutrients. But that's kind of like a rant to begin the episode today. As you know from the title of this podcast episode, we are talking about location independent nomadic lifestyle, and I'm going to be dedicating more of my paid work, like coaching and different classes and workshops, to this category of people who I've been a part of for more than 12 years. Even earlier I started, but then kind of was on and off, and then fully on for about 12 years or so. So I'm going to be dedicating more and more of my work towards that population. And you might be considering that lifestyle. You might be able to do it. You might not yet, but remote work definitely makes it possible for more and more people. Just reconsidering whether you want to live in one location, whether you want to live where you are now, whether you want to move. And people ask me, when I talk about this, like, Angela, but this is not a big percentage of the population. But it is big, and it's getting bigger. Yesterday, I was reading an article about Elon Musk, how he changed his perspective on remote work because it is more economical. I'm like, yeah, when the money and profit's concerned, everybody is for the cheapest thing. That's just how, how we work. Everybody wants to save resources, not to spend more resources. And so if for Twitter, it saves money and other resources, becoming more efficient company to be remote, then it makes sense, right? And so, Elon Musk changed his opinion And I have no doubt that the world is going to just become more and more global, more and more mobile. And I'm passionate about the lifestyle. I've been living it for 12 years. So I'm going to be dedicating more and more of my also study, research, my content towards maybe your tribe and my tribe and this nomadic allocation independent and basically freedom lifestyle. And so today we are talking about this upgraded nomad lifestyle. So nomad who doesn't just take what is, but also participates in conscious creation of the environment around him or her. Meaning you still want to stay healthy, you still want to stay fit, you still want to be focused and productive while changing location. So instead of just figuring out how to make the best out of situation, why don't we just design for it in advance? And when we get to an area, into any area, we know how to design our lifestyle very fast and how to choose specific environment in a specific city or country to maximize our health and fitness and productivity. And what I learned from 12 years of traveling, even at the very beginning of it, when there was no such good infrastructure as we have now, or Google Maps and all the data you can get, even then I was able to structure my environment so it helped me to stay healthy, fit, and focused and productive no matter where in the world I was. And it just takes a little bit of thinking and a little bit of research in advance. And today I'm going to give you my best hacks. And let's just jump right into that. So first, you want to understand that if you want to maintain certain habits, health, fitness, eating, sleeping, and focus and productivity, you want to think about not habits, even though I'm a fan of building habits better, but systems. Because when there is a choice, like with Elon Musk, cheaper or more expensive, what do you choose? And now all of a sudden we are a fan of remote work, even though before he was super against it. But anyhow, when there is a choice between easier or, in your brain's language, cheaper, energetically think and more expensive, you'll always, after a while, gonna go for the easiest thing. The point of this and the meaning of this is you want to create the environment that will make things that you want to do, like healthy eating, for example, or movement or great sleep, easier than more difficult, because you will always get out of more difficult thing. Your brain will trick you into doing the easier thing. That's why you need to create the environment that promotes the choices that you want to make long-term that work for health, fitness, productivity without thinking. Now let's get into details. That is more over arching concept, systems over habits. In the coaching circles, we call it support systems, right? So when we talk about building habits or building new, healthier patterns of behavior, we talk about creating support systems, or in simpler language, it basically means creating the environment that supports your goals and your healthier behaviors. Now let's get into details, folks. When it comes to healthy, fit, and focused, productive lifestyle, we're going to talk about things like food, fitness, sleep, and focus is going to be everywhere there. We're going to talk about focus also, but first we're going to focus on food, fitness, and sleep, kind of like the foundation, also a little bit of well-being and focus. A focus is also, again, going to be all over the theme here, because you always, with your environment, want to focus your brain on the things that you want to do more of, and kind of eliminate out of sight, out of mind things that you want to do less, like, for example, eating out or eating a lot of junk food, or, sitting on your ass the whole day and not really moving a lot. So let's get to food. Now, before moving into any place, you want to ask yourself, what kind of food behavior do I want to do? Do I want to eat out? Do I want to get someone to cook for me? Do I want to cook? My example, I cook for myself. Just makes things easier for me and also helps me to explore nutrition side of different local products and foods and learn more about nutrition and food, right? But also because it does take more time to figure out, for example, if you want to find someone to cook for you. And there are actually in a lot of countries, not like, for example, London, meaning England or maybe US and New York, but in a lot of countries in South America, for example, it's very cheap and very affordable to actually have some cook to cook for you. But let's take me as an example. So I cook. And obviously, in order to cook, I need to shop. And in order to shop, I need grocery store and good grocery store, right? That have good produce, that not like some corner supermarket where you can just get junk food. And so before I go into any country, into any city, I do some Google search. Okay, what first things first, safe areas. Right now I'm in Brazil, and in a lot of countries, in most countries, you will want to know what are the countries where expats live? What are, not countries, but what are the places in a country, in a city that expats live? What are the safe areas? What are good areas to live? And there is no lack of articles on any place on earth these days, especially if it's like digital nomad hot spot, then probably you'll find everything you need there. But still, you're gonna research the area, like what is the safe area, and then you wanna Google like this specific area, and you wanna kind of browse around grocery stores in, grocery stores, like show me locations here, and Google Map will show you that. Okay, like, okay, we have good grocery supermarkets, right? So we're talking about food. Okay, I'll find my food there. So now before searching the apartment to rent, you know the area where in walking distance, maybe like 5 minutes or so, you're going to have a good grocery supermarket. It can be a little bit further if you're into online grocery ordering, but it can get complicated. So make sure that in the proximity, in your walking proximity, there is a grocery supermarket where you can get your food. So this is number one. Number two, people ask me, okay, I don't read the language. I don't read Portuguese here, for example. But that's why my super simple ways of eating real foods work. Guess what, guys? Fruit and vegetables look exactly the same in any country. Organic, non-organic, not gonna die. You can figure out those things later. But eating fruit and vegetables and whole foods, this is the first thing. And guess what? They do not require any labels. So go to any supermarket and pick out your fruit and vegetables. And I'm not going to go into specific of meal planning here, but realize that fruit and vegetables look exactly the same. You can always Google how to simply cook, let's say like potato, sweet potato, right? If you've not been into cooking. But anyhow, fruit and vegetables look the same. Dairy products, your fermented yogurt doesn't look much different. You'll recognize where the dairy is and how plain yogurt, for example, looks like. It usually doesn't have any like fruit on it, etc. You'll know where the meats and chicken and seafood and spices and herbs, all of those things. And if you cook with olive oil, avocado, coconut oil, or butter, you'll find all of those things. You don't need to read much. That's why when people ask me, how do you do grocery shopping in a supermarket where I don't speak the language? Well, you buy whole foods. They look exactly the same as they do in your home country, right? So it saves a lot of headache. And then when it comes to weight loss, my favorite weight loss hack for anywhere in the world, learn two things: how they spell and write fat, different kind of, like, for example, but popular one, vegetable oil or olive oil, and learn how they write sugar. And perhaps because now it's kind of a trend, they use all kinds of sugars, but they usually are written in the same language or the same letters. But learn how they spell, how they write sugar and added fat like vegetable oil. The reason is those things added to any foods that are canned, or for example, you buy chicken or fish and it's already in some sauce. So if there is sugar and there is fat added, those are added calories. If there is none, and I prefer to get everything, I buy, for example, canned fish, and it says sal and agua, for example, here it means salt and water. So learn those simple ingredients and buy things without those ingredients, and you'll save yourself so many calories. And when you eat out, choose options that do not contain fat and any sauces. And that will save you a humongous amount of calories. Why a lot of digital nomads start gaining weight is because they might be eating the same foods, but they don't realize that in this country, they add a bunch of oil, maybe fried and reused oil that is super not beneficial for your health and weight loss. So choose things that are poached, that are steamed, that are, when you choose the food and it smells like and it looks like it was cooked in fat, it means it absorbed a lot of added calories. So maybe in your country there was very little or no fat, and now you travel, and in a lot of countries, especially in South America, they eat so much fat and not of the best quality that I don't know how anyone stays lean here, if ever. And when, for example, you ask someone to cook, you also have to instruct them, okay, do not put oil, I will put it myself. Oil and sugar, those two things, once you learn how to avoid them in your cooked food, you'll save yourself so much calories and you'll be losing weight, not gaining weight. Super easy, but understand, just learn how to pronounce sugar and fat in any country, and you'll be so ahead of a lot of nomads struggling with weight. Because again, sugar and fat add calories that you don't see, but they're there, and they also tend to make you eat more of whatever you're eating. They just ramp up your appetite quite a bit, just because your brain loves calories. Your brain, loves a little bit more fat just to protect itself. So these are my food hacks. Eat whole foods, cook them. They look exactly the same in any country. Use spices and salt to make them delicious. And that's kind of it. And when it comes to eating out, avoid stuff with sugar and added fat. If you, for example, eating salad, or you want to, eat, fish or meat, and you want some olive oil on it, ask them to bring it to you and add as you'd like. So sugar, fat, learn how to spell it, how to pronounce it. Like in Portuguese, they say sem açúcar, and that's how you say without sugar. And that's how you get your coffees and drinks without a bunch of sugar and calories that you don't really need to be getting from sugar. So these are the best food hacks. Be sure that you are around the places where you eat, where you get your food. If you are into vegan, vegetarian food, well, figure out what's the area that has the most of those places that you can easily go and eat from. Do that in advance. Otherwise, it will make any travel a nightmare. If you have to think about every single meal, and that you have to go there to get food there, and there is no easy system, it's going to make your work and travels a nightmare. And you want to keep your focus on your business, on your work, not on getting your food all the time. Now let's get to fitness. Whatever your fitness routine is, whether you like to go to gym, whether you like to go CrossFit, whether you like to do cycling. Again, if you plan to do it regularly, then please do find a location for your apartment that also have gyms that you can choose from. Be prepared that they're not going to be exactly the same as home, but they're probably going to be pretty good depending on the area. If you're in a really rural area, I suggest get the app like I did, Less Meals on Demand, and make sure that your apartment has, more or less good TV, and you can just cast or share a screen of your phone with the fitness app to your TV, for example, and do workouts. That's like one of the hacks that I'm using. But I also make sure that I'm in the area where there is a gym that, I might like some fitness gym, like general gym or something like that. And also, don't forget that if you work on your computer, you want to design a lifestyle that will include a lot of movement. And I made a video that actually got more views, double the views of my regular videos, 5 non-workout ways to get movement working remotely. And I was talking about taking your calls outside, brainstorming with your team or your business partner outside while walking outside and talking. Talk to your mom, talk to your sister, talk to your friend, walking outside. Do your groceries walking. That will add additional movement. You can, besides groceries, just figure out a way how to incorporate more movement. Again, calls or meetings that can be audio, or brainstorming, or getting your groceries, or instead of getting Uber everywhere, if it's cheap in the place where you are, just walk there and try to also find the area to live where you can walk, not some area where all the roads are not for pedestrians. Like I'm in Sao Paulo, very walkable city. You can, in theory, walk till the end of the city. Of course, it's just too far. There are 2 million people and the city is quite huge, but it's very walkable. So that's when it comes to fitness. Make sure that you are in a walkable place. It also will help you to explore the place much better, and also incorporate those movement patterns in all of the activities that you do throughout the day. Take the stairs instead of elevator, and if you live on like 10th floor, take maybe 3 flights of stairs and then take the elevator. There are all these hacks, but once they become your routine, your habit, your brain will get used to that and you get this movement without even thinking about that. So these are my fitness hacks. My fitness hacks: find the area that has your that gives you what you need when it comes to fitness, and also live in a walkable area and incorporate walking in all of your routines. Also, working while standing and sitting, changing your position, it is highly beneficial according to data. And also moving every 30 minutes that I do. I call them fitness breaks. Just do a few squats, maybe push-ups, maybe burpees or jumping jacks. Every 30 minutes you do that and your fitness levels will be phenomenal. That's what research shows, guys. Actually, not 1 hour of working out a day will make a huge difference, but having a lifestyle and movement pattern that make you move about like every 30 minutes a little bit, and then walking a lot more, maybe 8,000-10,000 steps a day as the general recommendation goes, is actually quite a good idea. But of course, you need to be able to figure out how to incorporate it in your lifestyle. So moving those steps happens automatically without you having to think about like, oh, now I have to get out and move. So make your lifestyle, moving lifestyle, have your fitness essentials figured out before you rent an apartment, and every 30 minutes do something while working on your computer. Now let's get back, but let's move forward to sleep. Sleep is a foundation of your productivity, of your focus, of your well-being, of your health, of your healthy eating habits. If you don't sleep well, your healthy eating habits also going to be screwed up. It's consistent data. Your hunger level is going to go up and you're going to be craving all the junk food. So sleep is huge for your productivity, health, and wellness. Sleep. 3 things that you want to look at when choosing the apartment and communicating with the host, for example, in advance. Number 1, noise. Does the place have good windows to eliminate the noise, especially if you're living in a city area? Or maybe it's a beach area, but you're going to be living by a nightclub. Happened to quite a few of my friends. So you want to make sure that the place is quiet. You want to communicate with the host. Because if it's not quiet, it's going to be so much harder for you to sleep, and your brain will be alert all the time. Because believe it or not, noise has a huge impact on how alert and stressed and anxious your brain feels. If there is a lot of noise, your productivity, your focus, and your stress, your productivity and focus go down, your stress goes up. So noise environment is very important. Try to kind of also Google, is this area noisy? Not. Communicate with your host. Does the place have the proper windows that they're noise proof or canceling? The second thing about sleep is light. Does the place have blackout curtains? Now, for example, if you use Airbnb, a similar service, they would say, yeah, the place has blackout curtains. There is actually an option there, filter. But then also ask the host, do you have blackout curtains in the bedroom or not? Very important. Light or light pollution will screw up your sleep. Also, when you get into the apartment, make sure to figure out a situation where at night you can make it as dark as possible, because if you have bright light, especially with bluish, this just bright daylight kind of lamp, if you have it late at night, it will delay your melatonin production. It's just going to make it much harder and longer for you to fall asleep. So what I do, if there is some no light solution and all the light bulbs are kind of bright, I take some clothes, might be some towel, maybe pillowcases, again, anything, and I put that over the lamp. Usually they would have some lamps that are on the tables, night tables, or bed tables, and so I would put that cloth on top of that, and it will make a light subtle and dim, and that's how I make sure that my room at night sleep friendly. At least an hour before bed, there's gotta be darkness and very dim light in order for your brain to produce sufficient melatonin in order for you to fall asleep fast and not waste your time turning and tossing in bed. So that's light hack for sure. And don't forget again that blackout curtains. Ask about that. It's very important for the quality of your sleep, your productivity, health, and well-being, and also eating habits and all the rest of your lifestyle and how you'll be able to enjoy a new destination. And temperature. Make sure that your sleeping place has the technology to adjust temperature. And when it comes to sleep, colder is better than hotter. When we are hot, our sleep quality decreases. So either good air conditioner that is not super noisy. By the way, about the noise, always make sure that you have good pair of noise cancelling earplugs, because either your air conditioner might be too loud, maybe your neighbors are too loud, maybe you are in the environment or with the windows that are not exactly the quietest ones. So it will save you a lot of headache. And some people say to me, well, I'm not comfortable. Find the ones that you'll get comfortable with. You'll get used to anything. Your sleep is more important. It's not like I love earplugs. No, but I got used to that. And my mom is the same. Never used them for 50 years. And then I told her, well, this works better for your sleep. Cancels all the noise around you. And now she sleeps just fine with them. So you'll get used to that, and your good sleep is worth it. Now, let's get back to the temperature. Yeah, it's gotta be 18, 20 degrees Celsius. So I usually sleep with air conditioner, and if it's a little bit noisier, I just put my earplugs in and I'm totally fine. Again, being hot will decrease the quality of your sleep. You will be waking up, and when you wake up in the morning, you're not going to feel refreshed, and your productivity and focus and your whole health routine will get compromised. So temperature is important. And again, if it's a little bit colder, you can always put something on and get under the covers. It actually works better for your brain. But if it's of course, if it's not freezing, but if it's too hot, it's going to be super difficult for you to fall asleep and sleep well. And also, if you want to fall asleep faster, another temperature hack, take a hot shower before going to bed. It will first heat up your body, obviously, but then what happens? Your brain will start the program of cooling you down, and the temperature drop of a couple degrees is exactly what you need and what your brain expects before falling asleep. So take a hot shower, cold shower for the morning, hot shower for night. Kind of counterintuitive, but that's how it works. A couple of other hacks for your well-being. Make sure there is a space where you can relax. Connecting with nature is one of the best proven ways to relax and take care of your well-being and decrease your stress and anxiety levels. So my additional hack, I try to choose places where there is some park. The bigger, the better. But, in the worst case scenario, some place where I can walk, not by the highway, and there is some sort of nature, and I can just relax and feel connected to that nature. In Sao Paulo, I also chose the area that is not far from one of the biggest parks in the city. So make sure that there is something that will allow you to take care of your well-being as well, especially if you are staying long term. For focus and productivity and work, what you want to make sure of when you travel, that there is a workspace for you to do your work. And if you work from a co-working, make sure that your area has a co-working where people work. Google it, do some research. Don't just go to a place and then hope there's going to be one. Another thing, if you work from home like I do, then make sure that there is a working area. There is a table, maybe not perfect, but there is a table. There is brightly lit environment. In a lot of places here in Sao Paulo, for example, especially older places, they're so dark. I don't know how anyone would live there. Maybe people just don't work there, and for them that's totally fine. If you work at home all the time and there's very little light, it's going to decrease your productivity, and also your mental health going to suffer. You're just not going to feel that well. People, brains are very light sensitive creatures. So make sure that there is a lot of light. And again, ask your host if you are booking in advance. And make sure that there is working area if you work from home. And of course, make sure that the internet speed is good. Ask people, have a list of those things. Okay. Grocery, supermarkets. Then we have our fitness places. Then we have our sleep, curtains, air conditioner, noise levels. Ask about all of those things. Is there a park? Is there a place to walk so you can get those steps in? And then when it comes to working space, does the place have a working space? If you work from co-working, is there a co-working? What else? For work, if you want to stay focused, make sure to create zones in your place, no matter how small, where you work, where you eat, where you chill. Your brain is very adjustable and environment specific. What it means is every environment contains cues. Like, let's say you rent a studio and it's small, but you need to create a space. It can be just where you position your table and your working gear. So it has to be for work only or studies, work and studies. And then where you eat has to be different. And it has to do with rest and digest mode and focused and productive state. They are quite different. And in one scenario, your blood flow goes to your stomach, like rest and digest. In the other, it goes to your head. And you want to create zones for those different states. So place where you work and study, do your calls, etc. Place where you eat and you just can, move a table across the room. Get creative, but there has to be zonality. Where you work, where you study, needs to not have a lot of distractions, visual, audio. It has to be just the space for work so you can easily focus on one thing. Place where you eat, it just has to kind of have this vibe of chilling, but just choose a different place from where you work. Don't eat and work at the same location. And obviously where you sleep, it cannot be the place where you work or where you eat. Otherwise, your brain, again, will be a little bit confused and you're not going to be optimally falling asleep in that space. That's why do not work in your bed. Do not sleep where you work. Do not eat where you work. And this is the best hack for your productivity. It will put your brain in the working state right away if you have one space dedicated to that without visual, audio, any kind of distractions. Ideally, and your phone, don't forget, has to be in some other room that is out of sight, out of mind. They did studies and showed that your productivity, your ability to stay focused and do work decreases when your phone is the proximity where you can see it. So put it, somewhere else. Where you can't see it. And that's about it, guys. Upgraded Nomad, healthy, fit, and focus. Seems like a lot, but once you create your patterns and your rules and you know what things you are searching for every time you move, it actually becomes easier. And yes, it's a little bit more restrictive than just jumping into the place. But guess what? If your health and fitness and your focus on productivity as a business owner, entrepreneur, or just a person who cares about their career, if that's important for you, you gotta be a little bit more intentional. There's one word you wanna implement in your life more, that is intentionality. Create the experience that will create a better version of you and your work in return. So again, it can be a little bit more restrictive, but over the long term, you'll be so much happier and your life gonna be so much more easier, and you're gonna get so much more brain power for things that are important, either doing better work or enjoying life instead of worrying whether you're safe, whether you have food, and where you're gonna get your workout or where you're gonna work, right? We wanna focus on the important things, not on all of this stuff that just we need to take care of while living life. That's it, guys. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Re-listen to this episode a few times to really get the idea how you need to structure your search and organization of your environment or your support systems to stay healthy and fit and focused no matter where in the world you go. So re-listen, make notes, and start using this framework to choose your place of living when you get to a new place. And again, after a while, it becomes super easy. And if you are enjoying this show and you'd like to support me and my effort, there is only one thing that I'd like you to ask. Please do share it in any way you can, whether that's on, there is like an arrow, no matter what podcast player you are listening to, there is some way to share it. So click it, share it in WhatsApp groups, share it in stories on your Instagram, share it over Twitter or Facebook. Just share it in the easiest way possible. And that's the only ask from me. And thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Stay upgraded. And till next time, what I want to wish you today is Monday. So till next time, just learn how to be more intentional about creating the environment where you thrive and start putting into practice this intentionality more and more and more to start moving towards the life that you want to live closer and closer and closer. Share and talk to you guys very soon.